Hello there. So this one is called Vipassana Meditation Retreat. Or is it Vipassana? I never know which. So I've been aware of this meditation practice for well over 20 years. And I've known quite a few people who've gone ahead and done it. And it never felt like the right thing for me. I now understand why, because I was carrying so much, and then with what I did last year, with how I felt on the 1st of January, gives me a new possibility in so many ways, which also includes that. So I thought, well, I was invited quite recently to do this, and it occurred to me to say yes, which did surprise me somewhat. This walk feels something like the way it's been for me lately, actually. So even when I'd made the choice, I still felt a resistance. So what is so special about this Vipassana or Vipassana meditation? Well, I'll explain. It begins with a 10-day experience, and in that time you eat, drink, go to the toilet, sleep, walk a little bit, but mostly you sit and meditate for a lot of hours a day, but it's all split up into little segments. I think the largest is 2 hours and the smallest might be 45 minutes. So it's a complete anathema to my lifestyle, always on the move, doing stuff. And yet that's the very thing that was calling me to do it. Part of being a shaman is to embrace things that make us want to head for the hills or make our blood run cold. There's something about taking something on of that magnitude that produces a body reaction. It's very powerful. And I wasn't 100% certain whether I'd be able to do it, because just look what that leaves out of life. And I forgot to add total silence, no speaking, and also no non-verbal communication at all, except at prescribed intervals with the teacher, who's your advisor effectively. So a huge amount of time for yourself, not even being asked to contribute towards keeping the place clean or cooking the food. Everything is done for you and no money is requested. And after 10 days, then you can give them a donation, either then and there, immediately afterwards, or later. A very trusting setup, which is highly significant. And being able to read between the lines and looking at the website, I can see how these people have had a lot of money from a lot of people over a very long period of time. And they will have had bequests, people will have died, so impressed by what they experienced there that they'll have given them some money from their inheritance. That is how registered charities become very successful. All the big ones made their breakthrough in that way. So there was a fair form to fill in, online of course, which I did. It took a bit of time, and I found it quite triggering because it asked quite a lot of personal questions about lifestyle, physical, mental health issues, substances consumed and all the rest of it. But it's fair enough. So then some days later I got a reply. They want to ask me more questions. So couple of days ago, this is what I did. I filled in the detailed questionnaire, and my goodness me, it is the most detailed questionnaire about my life, all the challenges and problems and difficulties and traumas, all of them. And it took me literally hours to fill this thing in. And by the time I'd finished, I was thoroughly triggered and completely and utterly re-traumatised, which was not at all what I'd expected. And I guess it might have been great if they'd mentioned on the form, answering this questionnaire may cause you considerable distress. It certainly did. And it felt like it took me weeks to get over. It didn't. It took me just over a day. But it was spread over 2 days, like yesterday and the day before. But it was just one day, actually. So I've got as far as I can on this path, and I've got the double barbed wire. Now, if I didn't have the phone on me, I could probably be quite okay about this fence. But with the phone, this is as far as I can go. So I'm wondering how allegorical this whole situation with this walk is. Getting so close to the open space and the sun, and being able to see it on the leaves, the trees and the bracken, but not being able to go any further. So let's see how it goes. So I did this, and it was, every time I get re-traumatised, this is a really horrific experience. And it's like all of the memories of all of the very worst things, somehow they aren't memories anymore. They are memories as I answer the questions, but they somehow transform into a state of being, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, all levels. I just feel like absolutely awful, absolutely awful. And the advantage of being re-traumatised many times is that I remind myself, this too shall pass, and this too did pass. And it was yesterday evening I felt suddenly able to initiate a little bit of communication with a friend, and I thought, oh, look at that. I felt like you've doing that for a bit, haven't you? No, so it was really great. So what I'm going to do is, when I get back home, I'm going to give you some examples of some of these questions so you can just see how searching and penetrating they are. And of course now there's a bit which is called the waiting. So I don't know how long I'm going to have to wait for the answers for all this. I have no idea. I'll put a link to the website if there's something that interests you. But before I go any further, I'm going to duck under this beech tree, and I want to talk about what I've chosen to do as a result of what's going on. There we go. So I realised, even having filled the first questionnaire in, there's no guarantee I'd get a place. They may deem me to be too challenging, too traumatised to cope with, I don't know. Or they may have a completely opposite approach. Well, this guy's had so much trauma, you really want to work with him. I've no idea how it's going to be, but here's the idea. The idea is, because you're not online and you're not talking or listening or playing music or writing or reading or doing any of the things that people tend to do in our society, because you're stripped away to nothing except the most basic things plus sitting, it gives you the opportunity to go within. Well, I've been doing not a great deal else except going in for the last couple of years, so if only I'd managed to put that in the questionnaire, it would have probably helped my case, but I didn't, because there wasn't a space to put such information. Always the weakness and the downfall of questionnaires. They can't ask the questions that they don't know will be helpful to ask. So I can understand that by stripping you away from all of the things that you normally are focused on in your life, and no job, no children, no marriage, no relationship, it's just you, that's it, just you sitting with nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. And this is what attracts me, because it feels like the ideal next step. Frankly, it does. So, what else I'd like to say is this. Having had a little bit of time from the first form filling in, I realised this is a really big thing to do. Stripping myself from all my distractions, all the things that we normally do in life to prevent ourselves from feeling all the feelings, except I have been feeling pretty much all the feelings for the last couple of years, really. Pretty much most of the time. Almost all the time. So I had a feeling, start the meditation, but start it super gently and work your way up. So by the middle of October, when it is that I would be due to attend, I'd be well practiced. So my first experience in meditation when I was 18, I'll talk about that some other time, 19. So what I want to do is I want to share with you what I've chosen to do, which is, so day one, I chose to do 1 minute meditation 5 times a day. So at the end of the day, I've done 5 minutes meditation. You can imagine what happens. So day 2 is 2 minutes, day 3 is 3 minutes, day 8 is 8 minutes, day 11 it's 11 minutes. Well, today is day 12, 12 minutes. So 12, 5 to 60. So today I will have meditated for an hour. Now, for someone who has always been into the idea but has really struggled and not realising why, and then last year realising the significance of autism in my life, and then yesterday afternoon realising that ADHD is also a completely inappropriate thing to be aware of for my case as well. No wonder it was such a difficult thing to do. So the first 6 days, up until including 6 minutes, I sat there, I concentrated on my breath, my attention wandered, I brought my attention back to my breath, and that's what I did. But day 7, something started to happen, and I could feel there's something going on here. I don't quite know what it is, but there's something going on, and it's interesting me. Well, by day 8, I started to get an inkling of what it is. What suddenly happened for me is space opened. I suddenly opened to space. The space within. The space in the mind. And I noticed by this stage that my thoughts had slowed right down. They hadn't stopped, but there were far few of them, and they were much slower. That was by day 8. So day 9, day 10, day 11, the last 3 days, this process has continued and intensified. And I realised there's a word from the gene keys, the word is expansion. I do literally feel the expansion each time I sit down. And because I'm a shaman and do not wish to be confined by routines, because I know that you pay a price for them, what I've chosen to do is to do my 5 times a day meditations at different times every day, in different locations, sometimes several different locations in the same day. And that's felt like that's honouring myself. That's me, that's how I like to be. So that's what I'm doing. So I'm honouring myself, doing it my way to an extent, but largely I am following the regime as much as I'm sitting. I'm sitting to do this meditation, and I'm not moving, or moving the very, very barest minimum that I can manage to get myself to do at that particular time. So the allegory of this journey is I went as far as I could, and I found the fence with the barbed wire, and I meandered a little bit, and I'm back on my way down. So who knows, maybe this is an allegory for what's to come. And I've no idea whether they're going to accept me or reject me. If they're purely interested in covering their own asses, they will definitely reject me, because anyone with the level of trauma that I've got could be regarded to be, ooh, let's not go there. On the other hand, I do know someone who's been through a huge amount himself, and they accepted him. So who knows? Maybe they will accept me. But what I realised is in a sense, it doesn't matter whether they do or whether they don't. That is a great realization. And because I've started this meditation practice 5 times a day, this is really challenging. I don't want to underestimate how challenging it is. It's magnificently challenging. And what I generally do is I will start the day with one, and the last thing in my day before I go to get into bed will be finished. So that's 2 taken care of, beginning and end of, and the other 3 interspersed throughout the day wherever it feels appropriate, or wherever I can squeeze them in. And sometimes I squeeze 2 in consecutively because it was that kind of a day. Do X minutes, reset the timer, do X minutes again. As far as I'm concerned, it all counts. So what I also want to share with you is that, I've been doing mantras for God knows how long. Over 850 days, I think, since I started the Ganesha, and that's without a single day off. So that's 100% success with every single mantra that I've been doing, all recorded. And now I'm on day 12 of this 5 times a day meditation, and I've been doing for more than 18 months all my prayers of thank you. So all my prayers are not requests. I don't ask for things. I don't say what I want. I just say what I'm grateful for. That's my personal choice. That's the way I like to do it. Oh, now I've suddenly reached a point where I am accessing the sun. So there we are. That feels appropriate and relevant. So in amongst the darkest time, suddenly the sun rays strike us, and they alter our perceptions completely. So here's the point I want to make. A lot of people probably think, he's doing all these mantras and he's doing all this meditation prayers. I bet he's a really chilled out dude, and I bet life is really calm and really easy for him. Not a bit of it. What I'm noticing people that are not doing their inner work, what they're having happen to them is there's loads of drama going on around them outside their immediate sphere. It may involve friends, family, career people, loved ones, but loads and loads of drama. It may be them themselves, conflict, attack, all sorts of things going on for people. What I say is that the path that I've chosen, doing all the things I'm doing, it means that is not where the conflict is. There's no conflict in my life from outside, pretty much. It's all from within, because even the questionnaire, that came from outside, but actually it was my choice to start the questionnaire and to do it and to answer all the questions. It was an inner process. So my feel is that all the conflict, all the unresolved stuff in my life is coming out because of these practices. So I wouldn't recommend these practices for an easy time and a quick dot. Completely the opposite is if you want to leave no stone unturned, get to root causes of everything and get completely through everything, and yet understanding that time is an illusion, therefore everything is going on at the same time. So fundamentally we don't heal our traumas. Fundamentally we come to an understanding and acceptance of the part they play in our lives. That's what the healing is. The healing journey is actually being able to finally give gratitude for every single trauma that's ever occurred to you in your life, because it's taught you so much, and you are so amazing and resilient and strong because of all the trauma you've been through. That's actually the message. So it's a really rough ride internally, and there are times I am not able to communicate with people. It is so much going on. So the great thing about this 10-day retreat is there would not be any communication. There'd be no possibility of me communicating, because it's strictly and totally forbidden. So that might feel scary to some people, but to me it almost feels like, wow, that could be such an incredible relief to not have anything for that period of time. So my feeling is that's why it is such a magical, powerful practice, and my only conclusion is based upon the fact that it's a very successful organisation, and they don't even bother to ask for money until you've actually had the retreat. Incredible approach. And you can only do that, of course, when you've got a really good buffer of financial resources behind you, which obviously has come from the people that have been so appreciative of what you're doing. So I just have a good feeling about it, and If I'm permitted to do it, wonderful. And if I'm not, I will continue my 5 days, 5 times a day, increasing the number of minutes until I reach a certain number. And then I have to say to myself, right, that's as much as you can do in one day. And simply use this as my practice to do whatever it is that I need to do before I am the person I know I've always been destined to be. So this is one of the ways I see it. Sometimes you get a lifetime, we're just coasting. Other times you get a lifetime, it's like, no, we're in the M6, we're in the fast line, and we're at 90 miles an hour, and we're achieving all these things, we're doing all this stuff, because that's the agreement we made before we got incarnated and got born. So that's the case for me, it's the case for quite a lot of people I know. We chose to do a lot of work all in the one lifetime, and that's just appropriate, and so it is. And wow, and I've actually emerged from a different place from which I started, which is a really beautiful allegorical omen to have happened. I did not arrive back where I started, I arrived somewhere else. This feels very appropriate. This is an omen that what I'm doing is going to put me in a situation that I'm going to be, well, able to do what I can do here. Now, unfortunately, we've got a lot of haze in the sky, so it won't be so easy for you to see as it's for me to see. But the point I want to make is I've just come out through a different way, and suddenly I can see the whole landscape ahead of me, and it is pretty hazy. But bearing in mind where I am on my journey, that's to be expected. But there will be a time it will not be hazy, it will be crystal clear. So thanks very much for coming with me on this journey. It's taken rather longer than I'd expected. All love to you. Please like, comment, subscribe, activate notifications. I'm actually remembering to say these things these days. Very surprising. All love to you.